We just give. Now, that brings me to the equation. I didn't talk about the equation before because I thought it was too silly and too childish. And people would come to me and say, I can't live like a child. I can't stand up naked in front of my friend like a child and say, oh, because it seems too Pollyanna, too much like foolishness. There is a presence in this room right now, and it's here. It's completely here, totally here. It's not partially here. It's fully here. A presence. And it's here. You can flee to the hithermost parts of the world. You can make your bed in hell. You can do anything like that you want to do. But the presence is still present. I went to the mall recently and I saw a little boy just at the moment he realized he was lost. His mother and father weren't there. All of a sudden he was by himself and he was frightened. Just as that happened on him. And so immediately I picked him up and I said, everything is all right. Everything is all right. We'll find Mama and Daddy. And I held him up so that his head was up here and he could see over the crowd. And he saw his mother and father on the other side of the room. They hadn't seen him yet, but he saw that his mother and father were present. Were present. And immediately began laughing and clapping his hand. Then his mother and father saw him and came over and announced their presence and said everything is all right and thanked me for doing what I did. I just want to tell you that there is a presence right here, right now, that is just like that. Fully here, totally here, and doesn't care what we do as human beings. Doesn't care how sinful we might be, how fallen we seem to be. Doesn't care. Is taking care of us just as we are. Just as we are. And happy to get us through the human experience, to climb by shine, to stand with our foot above the earth, and by the way, the little boy just had to know that the presence was present. The presence didn't have to come and do anything. Didn't have to bring him an ice cream home. Didn't have to do anything except be there. So it is that there is a presence here, and we don't have to do anything to bring it here. I mentioned the photon that we have gotten ourselves down to in our quest for the Big Bang. This photon is massless and spaceless, and it moves at astounding speeds, and it carries information. Well, everything has been discovered seems to have an opposite particle. What would be the opposite particle of the photon? And this is what science is working on at the moment. They have done everything but find the opposite of, or the equivalent of, all photons to infinity and infinity. So what would be the opposite of this little creature that is zipping around here at the speed of light? What would be the God particle? It is the photon that is already present, that doesn't have to move, because it is everywhere present and nowhere absent. That is the presence that is here, this moment, tending all of us perfectly, from which we can't escape. So there is the photon that moves. And if it has an opposite, like everything else, there must be a photon that doesn't move, that's still, that's at rest. Jesus said, I come from the light, and I'm going back to the light. Lao Tzu said that. Buddha said that. Science is discovering the photon that is everywhere present and nowhere absent. Yet we can't prove it. At the tail end of everything, we can only admit that it's here, present. And that's all that we're required to do. Is God here or not? We accept rather than reject. We can't prove the presence of God, but we can certainly accept the presence of God. When we accept the presence of God, it is amazing at the little things that happen that prove the presence is here. God didn't have to do anything for the little boy to be relieved. The little boy just had to know that his parents were present. We don't right now have to do anything but know there is a presence present. That's all we are required to do. And listen, those of you who are wondering, why should I throw away the old man and put on the new? Well, miracles start happening when you do. You find yourself writing books, and you find yourself talking where you had never talked before. And you find people smiling at you that had never smiled at you before. And the present proves that it's present. You fly airplanes, and you clap hands with glee. And you realize that all beauty is within myself. All truth is within myself. Not out there, a measurable distance away. Not out there with a preacher or a minister or a holy book or anything else that I must follow its directives. It's here already as I. And then we live the equation. We live it. I want to talk just a minute about the equation. Everything in the world lives equation, except people. Every tree lives the equation. Every bird, even Priscilla, the misnamed swan. K. Priscilla was a dragon, male. And that's why Priscilla wouldn't lay eggs. Everything lives the equation. Every tree, every blade of grass, every bird. The only one who won't live the equation is this one who says awareness reports to him. Must report a good bank account. Must report a wife that behaves. And doesn't go along with all feminist stuff. Awareness lives the equation. Only the me-sense doubts the equation. Now, I would ask that all of you pretend that you are a seed, a mustard seed. How about that? We'll use that sweet, lovely analogy of the mustard seed. All of a sudden, you are covered over with the earth. What does the mustard seed do first? It gives. What little it has, it gives. Now, it's pretty hard to talk to people about the equation because they've been telling, their ministers have been saying, give me this. And their practitioners have been saying, give me this. And their psychiatrists have been saying, give me this. And doctors and lawyers and everybody has been telling them to give. And all of a sudden, we don't have any more to give. We have given out. But this little mustard seed that's all covered with the earth gives a tiny portion of itself. Can't even see how much it gives. It's so little, but it gives its own substance. Substance. Our substance. And what does the earth do? The whole earth gives back to that little bit of the mustard seed. But the mustard seed gave first. He gives of itself. Then, that isn't enough. Still doesn't work. If it worked, then churchdom would be the only people that ever got to heaven. Or, it doesn't work. That's because metaphysics. You know, it doesn't answer all the questions. There are still the people who wake up every morning and they are unable to talk or walk or something. And the world seems to still be with them. So the mustard seed who has given a shoot to the earth and our whole earth gave back. What else does the mustard seed do? It shoots one up in the air. It just gives to nothing. It just gives. We give in two directions. We give that which is Caesar, and we give that which is God to God. Now, what does the universe do to the one little unusual spout that goes up in the air? The whole universe gives back to the mustard seed, which gave to Caesar and gave to God. Now, In the church, we do a lot of giving. We give a lot to Caesar, and that is what keeps churches going. And in metaphysics, we do a lot of pitching our nose and praying and saying there is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. But we still wake up and have to eat. We still get thirsty. So the equation that everybody, everything on earth but human beings live. We give to humanity and we give to God. Now, the metaphysician says, why should I give anything to matter? Why should I give anything to the heart fund? Why should I give anything to the multiple sclerosis fund? Because that is making a reality of matter. We know that matter isn't real. So why make a reality out of it? So we don't give in that direction. But we give God what's God's. There is no life, truth, intelligence, and so forth. I told the story of the little Indians, the metaphysical, I can't say that, the scientific Indian. Who were gathered around a fire, testifying about the wonders of God. When one of them fell asleep and fell into the fire, and all of them began knowing the truth, well, there is no life in matter, so there is no life to come out of matter. We are each working out our demonstration, so let him work his out. Now, on the other side of the campground was the Baptist Indian. And one of their members fell asleep and fell in the fire. And all of those people jumped up and they grabbed the man that had fallen in the fire and they pulled him from all directions. Pulled his legs off, and arms off, and head off. So what do we do with our glimpses? We do what seems to be the sensible thing. And we do it. We don't just talk about it. We do it. If, for instance, we say, there is a ring through my nose, and it's called tobacco, and I've just got to have a cigarette. Well, and if awareness is really on the scene, and awareness is the functioning of God, where does the dominion lie? With the cigarette, which is all chopped up, ground and rolled and chopped, and even the worms abhor it. And does the power lie with that? Or does the power lie here as I? Well, I can't tell you how many people over the years have called up to tell me, thank you for using that analogy. Because the power does lie here as I, and not out there as a chopped up leaf rolled up in paper that even the birds won't have anything to do with. Only one worm, and that's a tobacco worm, and the birds won't eat that worm. It lies here as awareness and not out there as. Now, so the equation in life, as we get up and go away from here, We give in two directions. And we give first. We give God what's God's, and we give Caesar what's Caesar. And what is Caesar's? Well, everything we see with the eye and hear with the ear seems to belong out there. When I am awake, it appears that I see somebody out there. Well, do for the out there as one would do for oneself. If the out there is cold, give him a coat. If I have an extra coat, I take it and give it to that one out there. If the one out there is hungry and needs food, I will send the food, but I don't talk about it. I don't theorize about it. I do it. I have to do it. And pretty soon, the whole world is doing likewise. If we are the awareness of God, and we are, then God is taking care of this one here as I, and doing a very good job. Now, I let go of the old identity as best I can. Here a little, there a little. I look in the mirror, and it isn't long until I'm looking close, and I'm saying, that not as young as it used to be. Well, thank you, image, for making agelessness apparent. I look outside my automobile window, and I see a wreck. And I might say quickly to myself, well, there was no life in the image, so no life can come out of the image, and I will drive beyond, and I look in my rearview mirror, and lo and behold, it was just a puppy playing in the leaves. Hadn't been hit by a car. Gets up and frolics away. Miracles happen. Real miracles happen to the little boy and to the little girl. So, now I'm going to tell you what I'm going to told you. Test you. What walked into the room? Awareness. Actually, when you stop and get totally absolute awareness, it didn't walk into the room. Rather, the room walked into awareness. Awareness does what? It is aware constantly. And what is it beholding? Itself. The qualities and attributes of good. Now, suppose I see something that isn't good, that the world says is terrible. They're fighting over the will. Of all things, who's fighting over the will? Pixels? Let the pixels do what they want to do. All kinds of stories get told on that television tube. All kinds of stories go on. But what is really happening there? The television set is functioning perfectly. All kinds of stories come on television set, but we don't believe all of them. Some of them are stories of stories. And some are stories of stories of stories of stories. And we don't believe them. Just because it is happening out there in the world doesn't mean it's happening in here with awareness. It happens in here with awareness before it happens out there in the world. Science is discovering that perception precedes the perceived. One of the great masters of the world, a fellow by the name of Huang Po, made people wait 7 years before he would speak to them. They stayed 7 years, camped on his doorstep. And finally, Huang Po said, well, they're not going to go away unless I say something, so I better say something. And so he goes out and he looks around at the great throng and he says, gentlemen, this was before ladies, I guess. Ladies didn't want to know about the truth. He says, gentlemen, remember that the perceived does not perceive. And so ended the life of the great Huang Po. His last statement was, remember that the perceived does not perceive. Awareness, this awareness is the perceiving happening. What we say, we better treat it like it perceives. We better be nice to it and give it what it needs and treat it as we would have this pixel treated. But awareness is the perceiving, and the perceived doesn't perceive. Well, now, that's the truth, the absolute truth. But easier and simpler is to live the equation, which doesn't require churches or metaphysicians or teachers or rabbis or priests. It requires only us to be this awareness that we're already being. We don't have to do anything to get there. We're already there. There is no way there. There is no way there. If there were a way there, it would be infinite and we would never get there. There is no way there but to be there. And we are there. It is here. And all a master ever is one who says, it's here. This is it happening. Isn't this good? Are there any questions at this point? Anything, anywhere, about anything? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know if somebody who was awakened or aware, however you put it, could ever put their head down on the bed at night and become unconscious and go to sleep.
Let me try to answer that. In Oriental philosophy, there is a story of a man who falls asleep and dreams that he is a butterfly. Then he awakens and dreams in his awake state that he's a man. Then he asks himself, am I a butterfly or am I a man? And he can't answer it. One of the real sages, awareness doesn't sleep. You will notice that you can fall asleep. The pixel falls asleep at night and repairs itself and tends toward health. If you leave the pixel alone, it gets healthy. But awareness keeps on being aware. And this has been proven to me, and I think perhaps to you too, that we fall asleep at night and we can dream whatever we want to dream. Once upon a time, a man took his family for a walk through the woods. And there was a beautiful trail that he walked, and he knew it was an animal trail. And he told his little boy and his wife, we are walking along a game trail. When all of a sudden, he hears a snort behind him. And it's a great bear bearing down on him and his family. So he says, run, run. There is a tree over there in the meadow. Climb that tree. And so he starts running. And his wife runs. And his little boy runs. And they reach the tree. And the man pushes his wife up into the tree. And she reaches down to get the little boy. And just then the bear manages to get there. And there is this great snarl and a great carnage that takes place. And there is blood. And there are entrails. There is a glowering bear pulling a little boy and a father to pieces. And then the man awakens. And it was just a dream all the while. Now, where was the trail and all of the leaves? Within the dream. The dream was being the bear and the trail and all the leaves and the mother and father and little boy. The dream was being a dream, was being itself. And there was a great awakening and trembling and shaking of the head and saying, oh, that was an awful dream. What purpose did the dream serve? To awaken us to another life that is not being threatened. So the dream, even that nightmare, was good, not bad. And the dream was solipsistic, that is, it was within itself. And the dream served a purpose. Have I answered the question? Awareness doesn't dream. Awareness goes right on being aware. And I can prove that. Oh, I know this is so. And all of you know it's so. And you know it. So, the belief of the human experience, in which there are fathers that don't take care of their children, and mothers have gone away all teaches us about the Father and Mother God that is right here, right now, present, tending us. And if you don't believe that's true, just ask for something. Ask your heart's desire. Ask that the daughter prove that she's still here and hasn't gone anywhere. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord. Ask for something and watch it come. Anticipate it. You see, I might say one thing about metaphysics that you bring up, and I appreciate it. All of the expectation has gone out of metaphysics. Why should we expect a God that is already here? Why should we expect abundance when sufficiency is already here? Why should we expect a healing when that only makes the claim that I am not healed now? So why should I do all of those things? Now, expectancy goes out of metaphysics, but it's in religion. Thank God it's in religion. And thank God it comes back into metaphysics when we become childlike again. What good will I see today? Doesn't mean that I'm not seeing good right now. It just means that when the telephone rings, I won't say, oh God, another bill collector. It means now that I run to the telephone to answer it, anticipating good, because there's nothing else to happen. God is here, and God is good. The secret is in the alreadiness of the Godhead, for which this awareness is the functioning. Looking at good, anticipating good, seeing good, and clapping our hands when good does happen in time, to prove that timelessness is the fact. What is this human experience? It is confirmation of the divine. What is matter? The confirmation of spirit. Do I have any other questions? Yes.
My question is, should we have new types of feelings to know something's happening? Feel it. I'm thinking all these, but I want to feel it too.
You are feeling something very wonderful.
Right now I'm
right
feeling
now.
something. As I'm speaking, I am, because I let it out, I think, because I do feel more feeling when I put my hand up.
Good.
So that's it. It'll
That's
come
it.
automatically.
That's it.
Beautiful.
It's happening right here, right now.
Okay, thank
It
you.
happens when we give like the child gives and pretend like the child pretends. Anticipate like the child anticipates. Oh yes, there is a new feeling. If you people think that you know what love is, wait and see what happens when you quit being a pixel to start being the entire screen of awareness. And watch how the feeling then rises. Well, now I'm going to make sure you know. I love the one that came back with nothing on it. I love that. This question, and many like it, has to do with Phoebe. I would like to know, and know I know, that God is here. Well, in order to know that arithmetic is here, you have to take a pencil and a piece of paper and start writing arithmetic thing. You have to start adding and subtracting and dividing and multiplying, and then you notice that it's here. Arithmetic is here. It's fully here. You will notice if you are a musician, you have to walk up to the piano and play it. It requires the doing. You will notice that the symphony is here. The melody is here. And lo and behold, it is very apparent to the one playing the piano, the principle is here. To those who want to know if God is here, all you have to do is say, prove me, prove it, show me. And the ineffable present will show you that He is here. She, Father, Mother, God, is here. Fully here, totally here, present, no matter what we are as pixels doing, or thinking, or not thinking, or not doing. Doesn't make any difference. The presence is here. And it's being this awareness perfectly. When something happens, and we're washing dishes, or we're driving along, and we see the little boy in the slicker, and we carry him with us wherever we go. We carry the daughter, the son, the mother, the father with us wherever we go. Oh, miracles start happening. Wonders start happening that prove the presence. A lady who lost a daughter, as in the space-time thing, came to visit me, and while we were talking, I said, during the next few days, pay special attention. And your daughter will prove that she hasn't gone anywhere, that she's here, closer than breathing. She'll prove it. Even to the unseeing eye, the unbelieving ear, to the cold-hearted person filled with grief. She'll prove it. And just saying, a bird came down and flitted and tapped the glass and flew in front of the glass and stayed and stayed and stayed until the lady said, yes, yes. Now I believe. Yes. Well, the lady came to visit me a month later, and she was filled again with sorrow and grief because she said, the little girl keeps going away, and I want proof that she's still here. Guess what? The same little bird flew down to the window, and the little lady clapped her hand and said, yes, yes. When we know, we know we know. And nothing can make us change our mind. When we know that God is present, truth is present, whatever you want to call it, it is present. It will leap out to prove itself in all kinds of marvelous ways. And if you don't believe that's so, put me to the test. Try it out and see for yourself. Don't take my word for it. See for yourself. Pick up a piece of paper and start writing. Let the inside come outside. Everything is within us first, and then it appears out there as that. We look at the image in the mirror. Now, we know that light has to travel to the mirror and then back to us. So even that image is after the fact. We write on the piece of paper anything that's good, that's real, that's true, that's beautiful, anything. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't have to be godly things. It can be about a flower, about a husband, about a wife. We can write anything, and it's good. The inside has become the outside, and the outside has become the inside. The above has become the below, and the below has become the above. The male and the female are made into a single one. And it's all good happening. Not bad. Sometimes we have to call it a delineation of good. Thank you, Mr. Koresh, for proving that God is everywhere and that His truth is everywhere. That's a delineation. Sometimes we look at the body and we say, go ahead and ache if you want to. You don't have anything to do with me. Awareness is who and what I am. And all that this can ever hope to be lives and moves and has its being within awareness. God's awareness. I think it was a question.
It seems to be that there's a great amount of energy that seems to be in transition at this moment. Can you elaborate a little bit on that and how it will show up, what it means, how it will show up in the tangible scene?
Yes, be happy to. You will notice that a bunch of little boys and girls come together. The meek ones and the shy ones will hide in the corners. And the brave ones, the braggadocio ones, will come forth and be heard. And pretty soon, the group takes on a personality of its own. This is called synergism. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Watch the synergism grow. Watch, because mind, or is this, aware of itself. The verb is awareness. The energy, the action is awareness. So it's no wonder there is a great energy, power here. It's the power of God. Our shyness is dissipated in synergism. Our braggadocio, big cheese, all important, me sense is obliterated in the synergism of God. And that's what's going on right here, right now. Everybody says, well, let me try that. I'll try it. Let me tell you, it works. Religion has always worked. Metaphysics has always worked. But not the way the child does. Oh, this works. All of a sudden, we are talking to multitudes. And all of a sudden, our words are printed and goes out to do its thing. God is present right here, right now. As a little boy, we didn't know who our mother and father were. Mother came to feed us. We became accustomed to that voice. Mother was present when we were born into the space-time continuum. Father, Mother God begins to take the place of father and mother. Father, Mother, unseen God. Presence, tending eye. Presence, tending this awareness. Begins to take the place. And if we are lucky, we run into somebody who tells us this face to face and eye to eye. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. We hear it. It's confirmed in our experience. We clap hands with joy and we say, now I know, now I know, now I understand. God is tending this awareness. Perfect. And this is not to say we aren't given all kinds of trials to prove it. That we don't lie down in a bed and say, God, where are you now? I really need you. Or we look out and say, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Well, it doesn't mean that those things don't happen. But we have the strength and the power to do it. And we don't push the unseen away from us. Rather, we just say, thank you for taking care of me up to this point. Keep on taking care of me. And it does in most marvelous ways. Okay, I have now told you what I was going to tell you. Then I told you. Then I told you what I done told you. You have passed the test. There is nothing left to do but to live the equation, which is to give Caesar what's Caesar's, to accept from Caesar what is yours, to give the earth what's the earth, and accept from the earth what's the earth, to give in both directions and receive in both directions, like everything in nature does. Do it for yourself and watch what happens. Watch what happens. You will mount up like eagles. You will have words to say, even when you don't think you can say them. No more questions. Thank you all very much. Thank you.